Hello, and welcome to the first installment of the Panthers Perspective podcast. In this episode, members of the Panther Press staff recorded brief talk sessions asking students 3 questions describing their take on the pandemic. Let's get into the interviews.
Hello, I'm Josie Dieter from the Panther Press, and I'm here with Marilyn Smith, who is in 10th grade. Good evening, Marilyn.
Good evening.
I have 3 questions I'd like to ask you. What will you remember about the pandemic, and how will you describe the experience to younger people?
I will most definitely remember the way school this year was, and I'd probably describe it as lonely and really long and boring.
How has the pandemic changed you? What have you learned about yourself or others?
I have learned that I need to be more self-sufficient, and that if you don't see people on a daily basis, you often stop talking to them.
How did you occupy your time? Did you discover any new hobbies or interests?
I occupied myself by redecorating and redoing my rooms several times.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Nope.
Thank you for your time. This is Josie Dieter signing off December 10th, 2020.
Hello, I am Michael Lee John from the Panther Press, and I'm here with Zachary Yoder, who is in 10th grade. Good morning, Zach. I have 3 questions I'd like to ask you. What will you remember about the pandemic? How will you describe this experience to younger people?
Do I go?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you have, anything at all to, how will you remember this exactly? Is there something that you remember it by?
I think it was a pandemic, so I think I remember it growing up into my future, and I'll tell my kids about it, and I remember it because I had to wear a mask every day, and it sucked.
All right. How has this pandemic changed you? What have you learned about yourself or others?
What I learned about myself is I don't like staying at home. I don't like wearing a mask 24/7. I like breathing fresh air.
All right. How did you occupy your time? Did you discover anything new, any hobbies or interests that you like?
When I'm home from school, I just lifted. So that's about it.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you for your time. This is Michael Lee John signing off, December 10th, 2020.
Hi, my name is Haiku Peters from the Panther Press, and today I'm here with
Travis Peters,
who is a freshman here at Secondtown High School. Hi, Travis. I have 3 questions that I'd like to ask you today. Question number 1. What will you remember about the pandemic?
I'm definitely going to remember the pandemic aesthetic. I'm going to remember how everybody was into whipped coffee. They would watch Tiger King, and there was always that constant fear about running out of toilet paper. I'll definitely remember that.
That's a great answer. My second question for you is, how has the pandemic changed you?
I feel that the pandemic has definitely made me a more organized person. Now, I stay home, I know when and how to get things done now that I'm here all the time, and I just feel it made me more organized.
That's very interesting. My last and final question for you is, how did you occupy your time?
Well, I kind of made a new pandemic schedule, I guess. I found out what time is best to do what things and take breaks, and I feel I just have new things to do at new times.
Wow. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Definitely be prepared and be ready if anything ever happens like this again. But obviously we know what will happen, and yeah.
All right. Thank you for your time. This is Haiku Peters signing off December 9th, 2020.
Hello, I'm Amanda Crowell from the Panther Press, and I'm here with Trinity Ives, who is in 12th grade. Good morning, Trinity. Now, you are online with the Pencrest Cyber Academy, correct?
Yes, I am, yeah.
So I have questions I would like to ask you about the pandemic. What will you remember about the pandemic?
I think the biggest thing to remember was the drastic change in my mood when I didn't have people around me anymore. When we went from in-person school to absolutely completely online for months, it's really rough. You don't realize how important other people are to you and your mood and mental state.
How will you describe this experience to younger people?
I mean, it's kind of along the same lines of how you don't realize how important other people are to you. So it's you're not able to go anywhere or see anyone, and you're just in your household. I mean, if you don't get along with your family, then that's obviously rough, but I'm lucky enough to get along really well with my family. But just not being able to see your friends it's really rough.
How has the pandemic changed you?
It's made me much I don't have to see people to not miss them. So if I talk to someone on the phone or online, it feels just the same to me as seeing them in person now. So that's been a drastic difference for me, because this year I'm not as bothered by not being around people as I was last year.
What have you learned about yourself or others?
I've really learned about how important people are. I think that's the whole main thing with the pandemic, and what makes it a struggle is not being around people. So, I mean, I've obviously learned to get used to not being around people as much and just talking to them over the phone. But it's really, people are important.
Yeah. How do you occupy your time?
I do a lot of schoolwork, because I have dual enrollment, and over the summer I was studying for the SAT, but other than that, I've been doing a lot more hobbies, and I play online video games with my friends a bunch, pretty much every night now.
Have you discovered any new hobbies or interests?
Yeah, I haven't really discovered a new hobby. I thought about discovering a new hobby, but I really got way more into crocheting than I was before. And I've just crocheted a bunch the whole time, and I've been drawing a lot more. So,
is there anything else you would like to add?
So on the whole thing of people taking COVID seriously or not taking COVID seriously, I feel it doesn't matter if you believe that it's a big deal or not, because there's not really a way for us to definitely know. So I feel it's best to choose which side you would rather be wrong on. So I would rather take it seriously and then find out that it wasn't a big deal and everything's fine, than to not take it seriously and then my high-risk brother gets hurt or something from me not taking it seriously. So, if I had to choose which side, I would rather be wrong on the side that taking it seriously,
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time and your wonderful insight into your thoughts on the pandemic. This is Amanda Crowell signing off, December 14th, 2020.
Hello, I am Emma McAdam from the Panther Press, and I am here with Michaela Stevens, who is in 11th grade. Good evening, Michaela. I have 3 questions I'd like to ask you. What will you remember about the pandemic? How will you describe this experience to younger people?
I think what I'll remember most is probably just wearing masks and, not being able to go out in public very often. And I think I'll probably exaggerate it to my children more than it actually, was.
How has the pandemic changed you? And what have you learned about yourself and others?
I don't think it really changed me too much, but I learned that I don't have as many friends as I thought I did, and I'm only close with a small group of people.
All right. And how did you occupy your time, and did you discover any new hobbies or interests?
I actually started baking a lot more, and I got outside with my family a lot, and we went hiking and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything else you'd like to add?
Nope.
Thank you for your time. This is Emma McAdams signing off, December 10th, 2020.
Hello, I'm Paisley Mangold from the Panther Press, and I'm here with Josh Swanson, who's in 11th grade. Good morning, Josh. I have 3 questions I'd like to ask you. What will you remember about the pandemic? How will you describe this experience to younger people?
Well, I believe this pandemic will go down in infamy because many people remember it for the disaster as it was.
How will the pandemic change you? What have you learned about yourself or others?
I learned that people do not care about you unless you are in contact with them, and they will lose touch with you immediately once you stop talking to them.
How did you occupy your time? Did you discover any new hobbies or interests?
I did not. I sat there and did nothing.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I wish.
Thank you for your time. This is Paisley Mangold signing off.
Hello, I am Loren Edwards from the Panther Press, and I am here with Helena Dillman, who is in 7th grade. Hello, Helena.
Hi, Loren.
I have 3 questions I'd like to ask you.
Okay, ask away.
What will you remember about this pandemic? And how would you describe this experience to younger people?
I will remember this pandemic as a changing experience because of all of the guidelines, and it seemed that after the guidelines were set in place, people felt the need to go out and do more things than they originally did. And if I were to describe this to someone in the future, I would describe this just as an eye-opening time that, people will do that after there are limits set.
How has this pandemic changed you, and what have you learned about yourself and or others?
I've learned that it's, harder to stay in touch with people that you don't see on a regular day-to-day basis. I've also realized that it's hard to stay motivated when you feel like your life is going nowhere.
How did you occupy your time, and did you discover any new hobbies or interests?
I kept myself occupied by writing, reading, and practicing trombone. I also went camping a lot with my family towards the end of the school year, and I discovered that I enjoy painting.
Anything else you would like to add?
No, not really.
Thank you for your time. This is Loren Edwards signing off, December 10th, 2020.
Hello, I am Sam Hetrick from the Panther Press, and I am here with Jane Hetrick, who is in 12th grade. Good morning, Jane. I have 3 questions I'd like to ask you. What will you remember about the pandemic? How will you describe this experience to younger people?
I think the one thing I'll remember from the pandemic is having to be okay with inconveniencing myself and be able to make sacrifices. And the thing I would tell younger kids is sometimes you have to put the care and needs of others over yourself so that you could protect people close to you.
How has the pandemic changed you? What have you learned about yourself or others?
I think the pandemic has really changed me, especially since I've gotten COVID. At first, I took it really seriously, and I was like, okay, I have to do my best not to get it. And then I got it, and I thought I'd be pretty okay with being in solitude, but it gets pretty boring pretty quickly.
Okay, how did you occupy your time? Did you discover any new hobbies or interests?
I mostly just watched a lot of anime. I would sometimes go walk out back with my chickens, but I don't think I found anything new to do.
Alright, anything else you'd like to add?
For anybody else out there, just know that this is really serious, and if you want to protect the people that you love, you have to start taking it serious.
Okay, thank you for your time. This is Sam Hetrick signing off, December 15th, 2020.
Thank you for listening to the Panthers Perspective podcast. In future episodes, we plan to take a more one-on-one style approach. Feel free to let us know your opinions and to send in ideas for future episodes. Also, remember to follow us at Panther Press SHS on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Stay safe and hang in there, Secreton.